So I guess Elton John's song Saturday Night's Alright to Fight is returning as AEW Collision's opening theme for 2025. So it's a revolution. The feelings back 2025, he's not saying revolution, but it's the sentiment we're getting. Oh, this is going to be like last year. 2024 is going to be the new 2021. So he's doing more of the same, though, going back to something that worked at the beginning of Collision, but then they stopped using the song. Now they're going to bring it back. Why? Are they trying to revamp Collision? I don't know, but they're going back and doing more of the same, and they're really leaning into this, like, we need to do old rock songs. And it's like, I don't know whether you like them. I've said it before, whether you like the 2 Chainz and the Lil Wayne and all that for NXT or SmackDown or whatever, there's a reason they're doing it, and it's more relevant, it's more aligned with, what's in, I guess, what's hip to the youngsters today. They're awful. What do you think
Elton
of them
John?
bringing back the Elton John? No, I'm saying like in WWE, like people are mad that they're using Meg Thee Stallion and Lil Wayne for NXT and SmackDown and like that. But listen, that's more aligned with what's in right now. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly,
Whereas in AEW, they're talking about Guns N' Roses and Elton John again. What do you make of this going into 2025?
This is what they call in television a hook. You know what I mean? You hook people in with these types of songs and that type of music because it creates that atmosphere. It creates that sense of, hey, there's something exciting and new happening here every week. Elton John is not going to be doing that with goddamn Saturday. No, it's not going to work. He'd have been better off really finding some young punk band that isn't worth much to do some rock out version of a Collision debut, of a Collision theme. I don't know what you do, but, thicken up the sound, thicken up the vocals, whatever you got to do to put them in a nice big ass studio, pay them, send them on their way. And now you've got an original song that you can put on your television and doesn't cost you much.
So the Young Bucks, speaking of not costing much, but costing a lot. The Young Bucks here, okay? A terrible segue. They've reflected on the 6th anniversary of AEW's official reveal in 2019 as they prepare for their return to New Japan and the Tokyo Dome. 6 years ago, we announced AEW on BTE with Tokyo Dome behind us. Now we return to the very place that this all started. See you back in Japan. And when I read this, dude, I was like, what a couple of chuckleheads, man. Like, oh, hey, the 6-year anniversary of AEW. What's going on? Oh, man, we're going back to New Japan and doing the fighting for the tag belts over there again. Like, this company's just a fucking, it's so stupid. It's silly. It's a parody. It's like, what do you make of this?
It's in line with what the Young Bucks are all about. Cringe-worthy, 2 degenerate professional wrestlers. Why would you want to go back to Japan when you have got you've got a $2 billion company that you can rely on and show your face at? Listen, this is what these guys are all about. Just running away when the things get tough. I've noticed that whenever the ratings go down the toilet, these guys run for 4 or 5 months and then they make their big comeback and it doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Yeah, they keep running away, dude. They did it too. That whole All Access reality show was based around them. Oh, we're kind of nervous because we're coming back after a while and blah, blah, blah. And it was after all that CM Punk shit. And it's just like, damn, man, you guys flee whenever the times get tough. And then they're going to go to New Japan. And I hate that everyone's trying to cope and go, well, it's a co-promoted AEW and New Japan show, so it is a return to AEW, but it really isn't. Like Kenny's return match that he did a worked shoot fight, like a real life fight situation. He did it with Gabe Kidd, and it's for New Japan. And then the Bucks are coming back for New Japan and all this. To me, it's ridiculous, and it just makes them feel secondary to themselves. Like Tony Khan is making his own feel secondary to like New Japan almost, when it's like, why are you
secondary, tertiary? It's like the third. It's like the third place right now. I mean, it's as cold as ice. And tonight in their premiere on Max with their simulcast, somebody was asking me, like, am I going to be able to do ratings videos? Will they be accurate? I think they'll still be accurate. I mean, who is going to not watch on TBS but watch on Max. Like, I just don't understand that.
I don't know, dude. And I checked. So I went on my Crave. I have a subscription in Canada here to this thing called Crave, and Crave has these extensions. One of them is like Stars. That's what Heels was on. One of them is Max, HBO Max. I click on it. I look for AEW. No AEW here in Canada on whatever my version of Max is. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to get a Schmeegel Schmeem, I think, tonight to throw just being honest, it's easier tonight to be honest with my setup tonight. So, I don't know. Tony Khan spends more money on licensing old 80s rock songs than he spends on providing coherent healthcare plans for his talent. What a clown show. Or at least like the guidance. He puts more focus on old rock songs too than he does give guidance to the right doctors or whatever. He talked all that. It's pie in the face. 2025, it's going to be more of the same. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad. Like, once in a while, I said it on the other show. I was like, okay, you're doing war games, you license war pigs. Okay, makes sense, right? I'm not like mad at that.
Right,
but
it's thematic.
just right, exactly. It's just like, but when he's doing this all the time, like, okay, November Rain. Why? Because it was just November. And Tony was emo. I was feeling sad. Like, why did he do that? Welcome to the Jungle for World's End. All right. Why? How did that like align with what he's just terrible at marketing. He really just doesn't know what he's doing.
And Jungle Boy wasn't even in the show, was he?
I don't even think.
I mean,
was in the building.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
Those Bear Bronson guys were nowhere to be found. No, are bears in the jungle? Maybe, who knows? Either way, speaking of Canada networking, apparently USA Network in Canada. So AEW has a deal with USA Network in Canada. I burst out laughing. I've lived in Canada my whole life. I didn't know there was USA Network in Canada. So no, I'm joking. But anyways, they have CM Punk on the front cover. Happy New Year. So in Canada, the USA Network have Punk as the AEW Collision thing. So again, it's more of the same, or do you think this is like shiesty tactics? Like, do you think AEW's like use a Punk picture, or they okayed it, or
they didn't deny it? Obviously, they didn't say, "Hey, scrap that picture," because the man's not in our company. They knew what they were doing. A few months ago, they did the same thing with Cody Rhodes. They tried to promote one of their dynamites using Cody Rhodes as stock footage, and they used them like 5 or 6 times in the damn thing. So this is part and parcel what AEW does. They need all the publicity that they can get, and if it means using former talent like CM Punk and Cody Rhodes to do it, by God, they'll do it.
And so, speaking of doing it here, Adam Copeland. And it didn't take long into 2025 for your boy Phil to tell y'all, told ya. But Adam Copeland said there are fun stories to be explored that will probably eat up 2 years.
Get out of here.
Precisely 2 years. Like, how would you know? That's hilarious for one. And two, what I tell you, I was like, listen, he got hurt, so that's going to get tacked on. It's about 2 years he's out of there. I told you guys when he signed that deal, it's 2 years with an option. The most he'll be there 3 years. That seems about right. It seems to be. He's saying exactly 2 years. Boom.
Right.
So head of the curve again. And I don't know, dude. How the would he know that these stories could eat up about 2 years? It sounds like he's put
because he thinks he's trying to run a bloodline scenario. Like, he sees that it is possible to have, money-making storylines that stretch out for over, a year. And he's just trying to, go Tony Khan and just saying, if we play our cards right. Of course, this won't work because Tony Khan has ADHD and he can't look past the first week of his Dynamite, after he writes it. But, yeah, this is Adam Cole. And who wants to see him come back? After 2 years back in the WWE. Come on now.
What do you think the stories are in these 2 years here, Awful? Like, you think, Edge and Christian kind of go at it some more and then they tag again?
Him and Edge and Christian feud or whatever. Something happens. I don't know what that spark is, but Edge turns on somebody and joins with Christian Cage, and they run roughshod or whatever until the end, until the contracts run out. I mean, what else can be done with him? You can't feud with Edge for 2 years. Like, you're giving the other talent no burn whatsoever. Like, you're just going to work with this guy for the next 2 years? Come on now.
Oh, come on now. Okay, so never forget, we have just some funny AEW moments, some funny Tony Khan stuff. We're going to circle back to it, actually. Here's Cody Rhodes on Two Bears, One Cave. Now, how funny, too, because the other day on the live show, we're talking about Burt Kreischer, and we're,
And how
some people in the
unfunny
chat.
he is.
Yeah, people in the chat are like, yo, he's terrible. I was like, trust me, I know. But he was in a Instagram story with CM Punk, and I was like, how funny that the fattest, drunkest asshole and CM Punk, the straight edge guy who works out every day, are hanging out at this foot, but whatever. So Cody Rhodes all of a sudden's on Two Bears, One Cave with Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura. Shout out not to them, but Burt Kreischer's pretty cringe, bro. But anyways, he talks about AEW. He gets asked about it because if you remember, Cody and Burt Kreischer worked on the Go Big show for TNT or whatever. You remember that awful? It was like
no.
It was like America's Got Talent, but like the extreme version. And the
I
judges
do
were
now.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like who were the judges?
It came on after Dynamite, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like Michelle Rodriguez, I think, and then like Snoop Dogg and Cody Rhodes and Burt Kreischer or something. Anyways, so Kreischer asked him about AEW because they've actually been in contact and have been friends, I guess, quote unquote, text buddies, whatever, since. So let's hear what Cody had to say about gatekeeping in wrestling. Listens to PWT confirmed. Hello. But yeah, just no, I'm joking. Hey, it's the gimmick now. Gatekeeping, the sickos, and just this time in AEW.
Wrestling has a bad habit, and this is in all companies everywhere, of not understanding we're in a bubble, guys. There's an outside world.
Yeah. There's the bubble paradox. Hello, right? We've been talking about that here. The blue sky bubble paradox, right? I don't know why it's a paradox, because it's just a funny word.
Multiple mediums of entertainment. Yeah. Don't be in a bubble. Like, don't be afraid to do a little crossover thing. Yeah, pure hardcore wrestling fans, they may not love it, but there's something on the show that's for them already. Yeah. And that was, I'm not bearing where I formerly was, but not understanding like
don't tell me what to do.
Meltzer says things like, oh, Nathan Frazier would be so great in AEW. And it's like, no, dude, the reason you like him so much, Dave, is because he stands out among everyone else on NXT because he's so fast or whatever you're marking out over. And that's what Cody's saying. Like, it's a pro wrestling show. Okay, there's already a bunch for the sickos, right? You got to do more than that, especially, or you don't have to, but if you're going to talk and play all these key demo numbers and talk all this shit about challenger brands and Tony Khan and Tony's going to call people bald assholes and it's in court. Don't tell me we're not challenging each other. It's in court. Tony Khan, if you're going to do that for the last 6 years now, going on 6, you got to be willing to go out there and not just cater only to the sickos, which is all they've done ever. And I don't even think it's actually catering to them. I think it's only catering to Tony, but they're such sickos that it's like become a cult at this point, Yeah. That's what it is too. You notice these like AEW Defender or AIR Gold. They'll criticize AEW, but once they cross that line and criticize Tony Khan, then the sickos will go after them. You'll notice.
Oh yeah, they treat Tony Khan as if he's a little 5-year-old child in a wheelchair, and he can't talk or move his hands and feet. That's how they treat Tony Khan. Like, he needs to be protected at all costs. There should be no one giving this man any sort of criticisms. And I think it's because a lot of those fans relate to him because he's an outsider. He's a loner. He's a social despot. I mean, he doesn't know really how to emote or he's kind of like me. Just goes on and on and on. but the fact of the matter is that that's what they like that man because they remind them of a little retarded kid that is just helpless in the streets.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them too think that they can get jobs because they've seen like borderline fans get jobs.
Yeah,
and I think people are like, if I tweet enough, they'll hire me. I swear.
Shout out Andrew Baydala.
Exactly.
The power, the magnitude again of new eyeballs and of crossing over. And also, I hate gatekeeping when it comes to what we do.
That's one of it too. God damn it.
The things I do really like about pro wrestling fans and sports entertainment, and I wish the locker rooms would feel this more. We welcome. Please, if you've never been before, because I know, Tom, you're not a big wrestling fan.
This isn't true. I don't know where you've heard
this. So there's some quotes out there.
No, I don't know.
So he's anti-wrestling there. Okay. Any thoughts on that, Awful, or we just keep it moving?
You know, this is Cody Rhodes being Cody Rhodes, pure diplomat. I don't really care what he likes or doesn't like as far as like the gatekeeping in professional wrestling. Like, dude, tell us what was going on with you and Tony. I mean, that's what we're interested in. And I know that you give us.
I was just gonna say, do you think his book comes out before yours, or
it'll come out after mine? Because what I feel is going to happen, what's going to happen is that people are going to shut me out. I think I had a conversation with Dose a few weeks ago. No, sorry. Yeah, a few days ago. And I was like, dude, I feel like if things get worse for AEW, the competition for my book, people are just going to come out the woodwork with, you know, titles of their own, and they're going to try to hotshot a book before me. I kind of feel that happening.
Yeah, well, theirs will be, and people won't.
Half as funny.
And you'll have people like me helping promote it out of it and things like that. You know what I mean? They'll just
you'll be helping me write it. God damn it!
Yeah,
all you guys.
I got you, bro. Hey. But JD. Speaking of JD, we were talking about JD earlier, so he responds to Sappy here. So let's read what Sap has to say. He says, the Young Bucks wanted to lose the tag team titles in a squash to the Outrunners at one point. Fightful Select learned. They referenced this in their new interview with Tunnel Talk Pod. So again, this is just gossip and selling dick pills, according to him, right? That's according to him, not a professional. So can't take
shout out to the Waterhead,
right? So JD goes, I want to preface this by saying, does it really matter? The company hasn't done a thing with private parties since they won them. The tag team division is literally the worst it's been in 5 years, gabagoo, with no sign of change. The Young Bucks didn't lose the championships to the Outrunners. They should have. This would have legit blown the roof off whatever building they were in. The company is allergic to building new stars. The Outrunners got over on their own organically. If the company went any further with them and built them into a prominent team, this means they eventually would demand more money. Oh, Tony is going to shell out more money and build stars on his own dime, only for them to go elsewhere after they built their names in AEW. He takes this personally and is afraid to invest in anyone not nailed down to a major long-term contract. I guess, but JD's right. Basically, what he's saying in less words is that they don't pull the goddamn trigger, and the Bucks are always just sort of what Awful said earlier. They're dabbling when they're unwanted, and then they disappear when it hits the fan. And basically, they should have put over Private Party earlier. I get it. Private Party beat them early, like in their careers, but it seemed like they kept the belts away from FTR when they shouldn't have. It felt like they didn't put the Acclaimed over when they should have. Like they waited too long, and that's more on Tony as well with the Swerve Keith Lee stuff. And then again with the Outrunners, it's like, well, they're just in an 8-man thing with FTR until Edge comes back, and now the Outrunners are where? They're chopped liver. It's just when really they could be losing the belts, and now in hindsight the Bucks want to claim, well, we wanted to lose to them in a squash, but then JD just sort of refutes that, and he's cooking here, I guess, right? Do you like what JD's got to say here, Awful?
I mean, I wouldn't have wrote a page worth of opinion to Sean Ross Sapp, but I'll just say quickly, so what if the Young Bucks wanted to lose the tag team titles in a squash to the Outrunners? That does nothing. You know, that's not news to begin. Well, you know what? I take that back, because Sean Ross Sapp himself said he is not a peddler of news. He's a peddler of gossip. So
he's an unprofessional
I apologize for that.
That's
right.
Anyways, continue.
But yeah, I mean, JD is correct in the way that, you know, he's going to be correct in refuting what Sean Ross Sapp. But my whole thing is like, I don't give it. If the Young Bucks, that's a fluff piece to make them look good. Hey, we were going to get these guys because we love the business and blah blah. Shut up, okay.
So Saturday night, PWT, Dose Evil, and Alt Jake Takes On discussed AEW's unique ability to continue to own goal themselves. It is a huge deal. It shouldn't be, or is it a huge deal? It shouldn't be. But when the AEW is struggling to combat negativity online, according to at least one Wrestling Observer whatever, WOR, what is
Radio.
that? Wrestling radio. Thank you. I'm like, which is it? Live newsletter? Intern. It doesn't help when the most raw talent, FTR Dax, of course, is posting a graphic. Blah blah blah. Love you, MJ. Can't wait till you're back on the show. But basically, there's a poster and it says January 6th. Max Dynamite Fight for the Fallen debut, but really that's today on January 1st, and January 6th is when Raw goes to Netflix, and then Dax Raw speech, FT Raw speech.
And this isn't the first time that these guys have flubbed up the goddamn date on their promotions. Yeah, like they remember the infamous Death Before Dishonor t-shirt in which the Young Bucks wife got the date all completely wrong. And so your quality control has got to be more than 100% at this point, my friend. You got to be at 102%. You can't afford to make janky mistakes like this. I mean, I'm just now seeing this. You can't put that poster out. That's what I'm saying. Like, how many fingers is this crossing before it gets online?
And bro, you know it's in Dax's hometown.
God damn.
And he shared
would actually show up to the stadium on January 6th. That would be awesome.
It's insane, dude. It's insane to me that there's no quality control in anything they do. Nope. I swear to God. Let's look at the attendance for this. I guess we have this is as of Asheville, North Carolina. Aura's Cherokee Center, 2,500 people, set up for 2,900 people. So
look at that stadium, Phil. Look at that goddamn thing.
Phil, I think you mean empty, right? No, you mean not filled. Dude, it's in your hometown. If someone sent you that poster, how the did Dax not go, yeah, on the first, bud? Like, how did he not catch it before he shared it too? It's just silly.
Because it's overexcited, OCD. He had to get it out there quickly. He had to be the first. And this is what happens when you're first.
And speaking of hometowns, right? And this could be a first for Cincinnati, Ohio, Moxley's hometown, for AEW Maximum Carnage Dynamite. There's only 900 tickets sold, and it's set up for 1,500. That's Moxley, like their main heels hometown, dude.
Right. He did no PR. I'm sure he's doing no press in Cincinnati right now. I bet you there's no promotion going on in Cincinnati right now. No, it looks like it's a theater.
Yes.
Is that a theater? Okay.
It's like a theater setup. Lord. They do music there. It's like a music hall. Yeah.
Dude, I would have ran a high school before I ran a theater.
Why is that?
Seriously. Because just first off, I understand acoustically it's going to sound okay, but visually, you're not attracting any attention. You can do a lot more with the ring in the middle, a small stage.